Hey folks, in light of it being Mental Health Awareness Month, I decided that I was going to try to do at least one video a week talking about depression. Understand, though, that I'm not a mental health professional and I'm not here necessarily to give you some sort of, diagnosis or anything like that. I can only talk about it from my own experience. I was severely depressed for over a decade, closer to about 15, 16 years. And because of that, I can really speak to it. I can give you some insight into how it feels and what a depressed person goes through, how especially the longer you're depressed for, the more these things become prevalent. And so I made a video already talking about that, the feeling that a lot of depressed folks feel, or the folks with depression, I should say, feel about being a burden. I'll link it in the little description down there. But this video I wanted to talk about the numbness that you feel. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that can understand this part of it. I think that this is really one of the more universal parts. It does come in varying degrees, and it does get to the point where many people will take sorts of actions and do things just because they want to feel something again. That's kind of how you get to that, certain actions, which I can't say some of them, but you because you just want to feel something. And now this at first takes place in a very muted way that is hard for people to understand the very first like leanings towards this, the way that it kind of manifests inside of you at first. It's you don't necessarily recognize it until you're kind of like very well on the path. But a lot of people will just have almost it comes off, or it feels almost like a doubt at first. You just something doesn't feel right. You'll somebody will say something that it should affect you emotionally, whether it be something as simple as I love you, or I appreciate you, or what, something like that, something that's nice, something that's kind, something that normally would hit and you'd be like, oh, oh bitch, I love you too, that kind of thing. But there's like this kind of doubt. It's not quite cynical yet. Like, when it first starts, it's just like, "Do you?" And that's how it starts. And inside, internally, it's kind of playful, right? Like you don't feel it, so you kind of snap to, there's this reaction of, okay, I love you too, kind of thing, where you almost feel guarded about it because you don't truly understand it. It doesn't hit. You don't absorb that energy the same way. I've talked plenty of times before about the bubble. And if you're new to this and you haven't heard me talk about it, the bubble is kind of the representation of this particular part of the feeling. When you become, I guess you could say, diagnosably depressed, when it really is around you and it's really hitting you hard, it feels like a bubble. And when that is the really, and again, this is just my terminology for it. That's the best way I've found to describe it. And the reason why I think that's the best way is because as you move through the world, as you go through your everyday life, the depression that you have inside of you kind of wraps around you. It creates a barrier, but it's moving with you. It's not, you don't feel, it doesn't feel quite like it's oppressive. It feels like it's a second skin, and it just kind of wraps around you. And at first there's like I said, it's everything is kind of muted. Everything's kind of like, it's not really that bad. It's just things don't feel right. And then all of a sudden you start to recognize that certain emotions, certain ways of behaving, certain ways of seeing things, they start to literally bounce off. They don't hit you at all. You don't feel them at all. And then you doubt them. And then you're like, well, you couldn't possibly love me because I don't feel loved. I don't feel this. And then it works for yourself too. You'll say something kind about yourself, and once again, it kind of bounces off. You'll say, no, I'm good. I'm proud of this, or I'm good at this. And there will be something inside of you that's like, no, I don't feel that. And then you doubt yourself again. You don't feel it, even though like logically you understand it. You don't feel it emotionally. It's not there. The bubble wraps itself around you, but more importantly, it wraps itself tightly around your ability to feel like really high highs and unfortunately not really low lows. There's a ceiling on everything that you feel. And this becomes the it slowly and slowly becomes more and more, everything around you becomes kind of a dull gray. Everything around you becomes more muted. Everything around you becomes, you know, just unfeeling. Like you just don't feel it anymore. And that's when the numbness of it all really starts to take its toll. You really start to feel it. You just don't feel like, you love the people in your life, you love, your pets, you love whatever situation, like you like watching TV, but it doesn't feel the same going out or coming in. When other people tell you they love you, you can't, it doesn't hit, all right? It doesn't penetrate that bubble, that shield around you. And when you're trying to convey it out, it's coming from your intellect more than it's coming from your emotions, because your emotions are so numb that it's hard to know. Like it's hard to be like, oh no, I absolutely love, I absolutely, you can't say that anymore. That's when the numbness gets to, critical point, because when you can't feel it, like, it's one thing when you can't feel it and then express it, or when you feel it and you can't express it, but when you can't feel it the same way, then you start to really truly doubt yourself, and that's the numbness that I talk about, that I'm thinking about when I talk about it, is when you start to feel so numb that you're doubting your own feelings because you can't truly feel them anymore. Like I said, it starts on the outside, and that's where it's kind of weird, and you're kind of feeling it and you're kind of doubting it. But after you doubt it long enough, after you've sat in it and realized that there's nothing hitting anymore, nothing feeling anymore, then you start to doubt your own feelings. That numbness there is the numbness that kills. That's the numbness that causes people to do things where they hurt themselves just to feel again, because you can't you can't do it through any other means. That bubble around you, that shield that you put up, it just will not allow anything else. Now, how do you combat it? How do you reach through that numbness? I'm going to be honest with you and tell you that I think that this is like the hardest part of depression, is once people are to that point where they can't feel the emotion coming in and out, at least not correctly, and all they're doing is stacking negativity, and all they're doing is stacking the negative emotion on top of negative emotion. You are in a downward spiral that is almost impossible to jump out of. It's just not going to work for most people. It becomes something where it's tiny, tiny, like baby step increments as you try to work your way out. And honestly, the slog that it is, the arduous fucking journey that it is, will often make you falter. Like you're not going to be able to do it as easily as you think you will, or as easy as other people think you will. It's not hard, or that it's not easy. It's hard. It seems almost impossible. But you focus in on the things that are the most important to you. That's the key. When you're in that, you focus in on the things that you can logically, fuck your emotions. Don't even worry about your emotions. You can logically hold on to, whether it be, if you have kids, you can hold on to them. If you have people that you love and you trust, that's the key. You have to trust them. You can hold on to them. You know that once you recognize that the emotion isn't going to be like your key to getting out of it, then you can logically boil it down to, okay, I have to fight every day for them. I have to smile. I have to try to feel it. Get out in the sun, get out in nature, get out in doing things that maybe you don't even necessarily like to do all the time, but you don't like to do them in part because of the depression. Like when you get out and you start to do those things, and what you do is you try to form appreciation. You try to have gratitude for what you have in your life, as hard as it is. And I know that seems like it's weird to say, but it really truly is very difficult when you're numb to feel gratitude. So it becomes something that you try to express, and as you do it, little by little, you'll find that a little pieces of you open up, and then you can start working on the other aspects. I'll get into those later, but for now, just know that numbness is one of the worst parts of depression, and it's the thing that kills. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. I'll talk to you soon.